So, it's a bitter January day. It's actually the 7th. I don't know when this video will go up, but it's wherever the dogs ran off to. It's his 3rd birthday today, so he gets a fantastic walk with his weird talking to his phone uncle, doesn't he? Anyway, this video, it's self-indulgent, isn't it? We know how I like music and fragrance are my favourite things, and always looking ways to put them together. This is according to my Samsung and YouTube, these are the songs I listened to the most last year, these artists. So I'd say, yeah, they're of course big favourites of mine, but take with a pinch of salt. You know, some of them are still my favourites, some I like more maybe, but I haven't obviously listened to as much. But yeah, it's just a bit of fun, just matching these bands, artists, whatever, to fragrance, as you do. Suppose I'll get started, hopefully it's brief. So yeah, they are kind of in order, obviously descending, that's the right word, yes, or ascending. They're going up, aren't they? So they're ascending, whatever, it starts at the lowest, gets to the most apparently. And this first one surprised me somewhat. It's Ace of Base. Now we all know who Ace of Base are. Been going since the 90s maybe. I do remember their first like mega hit in this country anyway was All That She Wants, and that was never ever off the radio. I'm not sure I ever understood it as a child exactly. I thought she was just like some woman who was going around wanting loads of babies. It didn't really click exactly what it meant. I don't think she wanted 100,000 kids. But yeah, and then obviously I've kept listening to Ace of Base over the years. Surprisingly, ABBA aren't in this list, so that's why I'm surprised. Ace of Base apparently are, but I do love some of their not recent ones, but like well, I can't even remember what the album was called, but with Life Is a Flower and stuff. God, that was a long time ago. So obviously they're Swedish, they're a lot of fun, they're a bit, you know, to be taken with a pinch of salt. They don't always take themselves seriously, do they? So I've gone for Swedoft, Sweden. Yes, they're Swedish, they're very typical Swedish pop. Very good and very full of energy and enjoyment. And Sweden is, it's this, basically it's like a woody fragrance with a hint of raspberry. It's a bit like, imagine this kind of forest now, but like an alpine forest, a bit more green, but probably all the snow still and frost. With lovely raspberries going round. It's really welcoming, it's cosy, it's got a little touch of caramel in there. Nothing like the synthetic nonsense you get in other fragrances. It just adds a bit of warmth and loveliness to it. So yeah, don't need to waffle on. For Ace of Base is Swedoft, Sweden. Next, again, you can definitely tell my age with a band that comes next, and that's Green Day. Again, they've probably been about as long as Ace of Base. A very different style. That kind of grungy punk style of the 90s. But they've always been very, not quite emo. More grunge, but their kind of style and the lyrics and stuff slips into that. They're kind of, I relate to them in so many ways. Basket Case is probably the song, my favourite, and the one I know all the words to. It's just, it certainly was me at that age, and it certainly probably is me now to a point. And then as they develop, you know, they're millennials. Well, they're a bit older than that, maybe they're very old millennials. No, they must be the generation above, because they're much older than me. But obviously there was an American Idiot album, which obviously coincided with the Iraq War, and obviously that definitely resonated with me. And it's just a poke at America, and perhaps a more kind of, well, the stupidity of it all, isn't it? In perhaps more of an obvious way than songs like Born in the USA. It was a little less subtle, wasn't it? And yeah, they're great, grungy. They're still kind of cool, aren't they, really? I remember all the girls in my day fancying Billy Joe and all that. And what I've gone for them is Miss Man. And I think Miss Man is a perfect fragrance. It's a bonfire, it's smoky, it's ashy. It's got the unusual touch of the chrysanthemum and the elemi at the beginning. So it's quite bright, but it's really unique. And then as you go through it, as they've got older, there's the smooth iris that runs through it and tames it, still with the elemi pumping and the smoky ashiness. And I think that's very much them as they've aged and matured along with me. And I still love them, I still think they're great. So yeah, for Green Day is Miss Man from Amouage. Next is a very oldie, but again, I love him. I love his cynicism, his honesty, his groundedness in reality. I can kind of relate to a lot of the self-loathing of, you know, all the things we did wrong in our past and holding on to that and all of that. It's Johnny Cash, of course. Brought up listening to, you know, the old ones. Not just Ring of Fire. I've got loads on my playlists and that. He's exceptional, isn't he? And I think resonates with someone who's full of regret. But my favourite song, and I think the song that hits me the most, I would say, is probably my anthem, my song, my signature song, is Hurt. It's not his song. It's 9 Inch Nails, who do a brilliant job with it. But I think Johnny Cash, because he's getting towards the end of his life here, isn't he? He brings a certain sort of raw angst to it all. It's really, really raw. It is from 9 Inch Nails, but I don't know, it's like this song could have been written for Johnny Cash, isn't it? What if I pick for Johnny Cash? Top Shelf from One Way Bridge. Could it be anything else? He's kind of grisly and he would have liked to drink, and well, more than a drink. And Top Shelf is this kind of very musky, almost like dirty animalic musky one. It's like a worker after a long day sweating and working hard. And that's Johnny Cash, very working class kind of hero, isn't he? And he's coming to the bar and he's drinking, so he stinks of all the booze and all the drink and all that kind of musk and sweat and what have you. And I think if you met Johnny Cash, it's probably what he'd have smelt like in his prime. And again, this fragrance, like Johnny Cash, is very raw. It's very real, and you can the person you can smell, you can literally see, and I would see somebody like Johnny Cash with this one. So that's a Top Shelf from One Way Bridge for Johnny Cash. Next is another country one, a British country band that you wouldn't believe are actually British, apart from if you saw them and heard them speak. They're very posh. Is Ward Thomas, who actually had the first ever country album #1 in the UK. They are two very posh sisters who have incredible voices, and they do sound really kind of authentically American country. It's more obviously on that modern style. I think Cartwheels might have been their biggest song. They were big in the UK, which is surprising, isn't it? And yeah, they're good. Nice easy country though. It's, you know, there's a bit of heartbreak and all of that in there. There's nothing too gritty. There's no dating brothers or sisters or God particularly in there. That wouldn't really wash in the UK. And what I picked for them is Dryad. And Dryad is from Papillon. It it's the scene you imagine them in. You imagine them in this kind of, these fields of wheat, like golden wheat and golden grass, with dry flowers and dry roses all about. The beautiful bobbing narcissus flowers, and that kind of happiness and that warmth, and like I say, that kind of golden hue. They're very traditional country in that sense. I imagine that the naughtiest thing they've ever done is, I don't know, taped a song off the radio or something. Well, you can't do that nowadays, but you know what I mean. They're very clean cut and very what have you, but the songs have a lot of feeling and what have you in them, which Dryad does have a warmth and takes you to a happy place to me anyway. So for Ward Thomas is Dryad from Papillon. Next is someone I discovered a couple of years ago. Never really, I don't know how or why, but it's Lindsay Sterling, who's kind of that clean cut, similar thing to Ward Thomas, and has become deeply religious, and I don't need to listen to all that stuff. I know she's had a tough time and stuff, and people are entitled to believe what they want to. Just don't particularly want to hear about it. But anyway, she's not a singer or what have you. She's a violinist, but she's obviously brought it to the modern day. It's very poppy, and she's done some covers of well-known stuff, and the stuff she's created is all fun and vibrant and happy, and just full of pep. She's like a little fairy. She like dances about, and she's very slight herself and stuff. So what I've gone for her is from it's Violet in Love, and it's from the Guerlain woman. Why do I never get this right? I'll pop it up on the screen because I'm walking and I'm cold. But it's that one. It's Violet in Love, which is basically this fresh, beautiful, sparkling, effervescent violet with a wateriness about it as well. And it's really fresh, and it pushes out. It's not got aldehydes in, but it's got that kind of ozonic feel about it all around you. And there is a little touch of green. I think there is a sharper hint of raspberry. There's a fruit in there, but it is all about this fresh, beautiful, almost bracing kind of chilled violet. But it makes you think of spring and summer. And I kind of see it as like a happy little spring fairy fragrance. So for Lindsay Sterling is Violet in Love from, I can see it, god damn it, from them, yeah. Next, this won't surprise you if you know me, these artists coming up now. Avril Lavigne. Again, since I was young, since I started uni, I think. And Avril Lavigne has been about for a long time. And again, has grown and changed. Although she's kind of gone a bit back to being a little bit angsty. I suppose it's because that's what's popular, and you can still be angsty in your late 30s or 40s, however old she is now, I suppose. And probably her first big song was it Skater Boy or was it Complicated? One of them, but it was the great songs, weren't they? Absolutely fantastic anthems. And as she's aged and gone on, I've kept loving her songs, the Girlfriend kind of era. Taylor Swift kind of did similar stuff to things off that album. Kind of more of a rock chicky look. And then in more recent times she's done some deeper ones after she came back, because she had Lyme's disease, didn't she? So she had quite a deep album, and now she's gone back to being angsty deep, I suppose. She's still good, still always sounds great, and I love it and love singing along to them. And I suppose again, being of a similar age, we kind of gone through the same periods of life and what have you. So that's probably why I still love and relate to Avril Lavigne. Now I've gone for Mugler's Alien. Yeah, for her image. Whether she's really like this in real life is another thing, isn't it? But for her image is this kind of alternative, hard rock chick who takes no shizzle, you know, kind of badass. We know what Alien is, that dark, magical, wonderful jasmine, the unbelievable musks. It just possibly one of the greatest things I've ever smelled. Look, the moon's there. Can I zoom in? Yes, fitting for Alien. It's just a magnificent fragrance and has been reformulated to death now. It doesn't exist anymore. But in them days, yeah, she would have probably rocked Alien. It smelled absolutely fantastic in it. So for Avril Lavigne is Mugler's Alien. Next is Evanescence. Yes, I still blast them out practically every day. They've been going again a very long time, haven't they? Bring Me Back to Life was kind of their biggest first hit that really broke them through. Did have an album before that, which obviously I've got downloaded, which had My Immortal on it. Which is just one of the most beautiful songs ever. But again, hit after hit, this kind of dark sounding but goth romance, isn't it? Goth kind of angst and stuff. Amy Lee just has one of the best voices that anyone could ever hear, and she sings with such feeling and passion in them. And they're still going nowadays, still good. But yeah, it would have been the older classic hits that I've listened to the most. And how have I decided to scent them? Well, it's more specifically Amy Lee, isn't it? And that's Le Petit Robe Noir Black Perfecto. Because, yeah, all the dark leather, the kind of lovely sweeter tones of it, the licorice, the little bit of kind of powderiness. Because some of the songs are quite deep and grim and what have you. So there's the darkness there, the sweeter floral touches, the little touches of cherry and whatnot in it, giving it this kind of sexy kind of feel and that. And I just think it would be one that Amy Lee would probably wear. I mean, again, in real life she seems very lovely and very down to earth and just a very nice lass, really. Although she always came across in the old days as someone who was quite arrogant and all of this, probably because of the era she became famous, and the rampant sexism about. But I suppose we'll never know. We only know what we see, don't we? So for Evanescence is Guerlain's Le Petit Robe Noir Black Perfecto. Then, might not surprise you again, another country band here. Lady A. Lady A again, probably loved them for about 15 years, maybe more slightly. Obviously we all know the biggest hit is Need You Now, but they had a few before that. American Honey, Just a Kiss, This Kiss, Just a Kiss, This Kiss is Faith Hill, isn't it? And they've had album after album after album, and as a, for no apparent reason, big country fan, they're just brilliant. And these are proper country songs as well. There's a bit of God, there's a bit of kind of rolling around the ranch, drinking whiskey, bartender, that song, you know, a lot of heartbreak and ridiculously over the top kind of stuff. And they're great, and they're just very melodic, very easy, very clean and innocent and all that kind of stuff. So how have I scented them? It had to be booze, didn't it? And I've gone for Angel Share from Kilian. You know, good brandy, of course. They probably smell of very expensive brandies from there. Kind of, I don't know what you call a country, is it a honky tonk bar? As Garth Brooks may say. You know, whiskey chasers and brandy and all that stuff. And Angel Share is, it's kind of the vapour, isn't it? It's got this lovely kind of fruity brandy feel at first, which I wish lasted forever. Then it's kind of soaked woods, brandy soaked woods, and there's a warm tonkiness there. There's a kind of nutty feel about it. Some people get a little chocolate touch. It's not a special out there fragrance, but it's very recognisable and it's very good. And I think it suits Lady A. So for Lady A, it's Kilian's Angel Share. And finally, my most listened to, this I could believe, because I'm hooked. Someone again from my uni years who came about, Amy McDonald. I think she's potentially, over the last couple of decades, a decade or so, the biggest Scottish artist there is. But because she's Scottish and not English, she doesn't really get the recognition or the kind of love and adoration that terrible talentless English people get, like Cheryl Cole. I mean, what? Or even Adele. I mean, she's probably not sold as many as Adele because Adele broke America, but she's much better, much better. It's kind of this, started off a little bit kind of folksy, rock chicky, and it's kind of gone, stayed in that way. A first big massive mega hit was Mr. Rock and Roll. It wasn't a first song, but Mr. Rock and Roll, which is, I don't know how old she was then, 18, 19 maybe, and it's about living a life of regret. That person that you never got with, that you wish you got with, you meet them again but you're already stuck with someone in a loveless relationship or a loveless marriage. It's such a, and it probably hits people of our age now quite well. And then she's had song after song that are just brilliant. Down by the River's one that I really kind of love. So I suppose it's about death, isn't it? Just these beautiful melodic songs. Some of them are a bit rock chicky and what have you, and wonderful. And obviously I kind of dig the Scottish kind of vibe about it as well. And what I've picked for that is probably a surprising one, is Kilian's Rolling in Love. I know that seems like a really unusual fragrance to put in this, and with Amy McDonald, don't get me wrong, she's a beautiful woman, but I think her songs resonate with me in the same way that fragrance resonates with me. It's Rolling in Love is beautiful, soft, musky, tuberose, a tiny hint of an almondy lactonic feel, a little bit of a red smell about it, and then just musk after musk after musk that makes you go, oh. And that's kind of what Amy McDonald's songs do. They kind of transport you off somewhere, whether it to be to the highlands and the moors of Scotland, all that beauty and what have you, or to very real kind of raw feelings, failed relationships and all of that. And it just kind of touches me in the same way. So for Amy McDonald is Kilian's Rolling in Love. So of course this is the end. It's a very self-indulgent kind of thing, because musical taste is very subjective and very personal, like fragrance really, but because they're two huge parts of my life and I like to be just taken away and go somewhere kind of thing, they go together so well for me. And like I say, a lot of these are my favourites. You know, it's hard to pin down your favourite song or your favourite artist, isn't it, because there's so many, but some of these definitely are. And yeah, that's it. I mean, obviously it's very personal to me, it's what I mean, it's a self-indulgent video. What about you? How would you scent any of these artists? Who's your favourite kind of artist? Who was your most listened to? I mean, technology tells us all the damn time, which is scary how it tracks us, isn't it? And how would you scent them? Alright folks, bye, and happy birthday to the little dog there. If you can see him in the snow, oh, he's there. Happy birthday, Charlie.